Yo guys, I'm going to review a video by Penguinz0. He made a video about some carnivore TikToker. His YouTube display picture is a RuneScape character. I believe that over 90% of his viewers are video gamers, as in the biggest losers on earth. And it makes sense because losers like to watch other losers. He seems incredibly depressed and looks very malnourished, has dark eye circles, typical for a video gamer.
I'm sure most of you have heard of the carnivore diet by now.
I've only seen one of his videos before, and it's so incredibly painful to listen to him because of how monotone his voice is, because of his depression.
Not exactly so much a diet anymore as it is just a full-blown personality that people adopt, a full lifestyle.
That's something that you're missing.
Now where their whole identity is, I only eat meat. And oftentimes,
I only eat meat, which is what humans eat in nature. It's better to have a collection of comic books, video games, I have no idea what that stuff in the background is, rather than eating your natural food. Yeah, oh my god.
it consists of consuming a lot of raw meat. And I've always just been fascinated by this raw meat eating community, because I just don't get how they're not, like, plagued by trichinosis and infested with...
Trichinosis is found in pork and only in intestines. You would have to eat raw pork intestines from a really sick pig to be able to get trichinosis.
Countless tapeworms, like an absolute nightclub of tapeworms.
How would somebody get a tapeworm from muscle meat if there never has been a recorded case of tapeworms found in muscle meat? Which is what almost everybody who eats raw meat eats. It makes no sense. You're so stupid.
In their gut. Because for me, if I eat a potato chip that's one day past the sell-by date, I get sick. Like, I get an irpy stomach. But meanwhile...
Potato chips are processed. They last for like 3-4 years or something.
They're out there consuming fermented meat that they leave out in the sun until it becomes what they call high meat, which is literally just fucking rotted poison meat. And they'll just...
Why poison though? What is poisonous about it? Poison would imply toxins. How is it toxic? Do you have any proof? Any arguments? Just anything at all? Or do you just call it something because you're ignorant?
Just eat that and they're totally fine somehow. It blows my mind, but...
Yeah, they're fine because it's not toxic. He says it's toxic, but then he says they're fine. Well, if they're fine, can you not come to the conclusion that it's not actually poisonous? No, somehow he can't with his video gamer brain, or lack of.
Anyway, I'm getting carried away. The reason I'm talking about carnivores today is because there's one that's blowing up on TikTok right now because they've made a spectacle out of their meat eating. And make no mistake, this guy eats more meat than an Aiden Ross fan. He's posted like hundreds of TikToks now doing like these goofy meat eating stunts. And I call them stunts, but it's not like he's doing a backflip while eating a beef liver or something like that. The stunts he does is like, I'll cook a steak in a sink and then I'll eat it and shit like that. And I'm sure you've seen a lot of the content because it's been getting big on Twitter as well. I had to cut out the music, but it's him making this steak in a sink and then eating a stick of butter with it. It's revolting. I couldn't imagine a worse meal or an easier way of contracting some kind of foodborne illness.
What kind of illness could you possibly get from it? It's a pretty normal meal, really. Of course, it seems like a lot of butter, but then again, when you eat typical cooked food nowadays, there's a lot of butter inside of it already. If you're lucky, if there's not vegetable oils, which everybody likes. Everybody likes food which has a lot of butter. That's what gives it the great taste. And if you eat meat, then you also want a lot of butter on it. What's so strange about it?
But this is the content. He is legitimately consuming that. He's not spitting it out. He seems to be enjoying it as if this is an average meal for him that makes his tummy smile.
I have no idea why he put meat in the sink. I can only assume that he put warm water on it to make it warmer because it was out of the fridge, maybe. I couldn't think of anything else, but it looks pretty nice. I would like to eat it right now.
It is mind-blowing, and don't you worry, of course this guy is going to be a member of the Clean Plate Club. He gets every morsel of food in there. I do want to point out that it's extremely possible and even highly likely that he didn't actually eat the steak that was being cooked by the hot water in the sink. We don't see him grab that steak and put it on the plate. He could have swapped that out for a normally cooked steak, but I mean, he still ate a full fucking stick of butter in that case, which is just a gross idea in and of itself. And I wanted to talk about it because not only is it just wild and wacky, but I'm also pretty sure the guy behind the account is very self-aware of what he's doing and he's just made it like his gimmick. But what's crazy is he's so committed to the bit in the character that he actually does eat raw testicles. He eats full sticks of butter. He actually consumes it. but I'm almost confident, like 100% confident, that he knows it's like a joke and he's playing a character. I've never seen someone do so much method acting in my life, if that is truly the case, if I'm correct about that. Like, he has made his carnivore diet more of like a freak show thing. So he's making testicle butter pops, where he takes a raw testicle, puts a stick of butter in it, and bites it, for example.
Guys, if you have never had a testicle butter dog, you need to try this. Raw testicle with a little sliver of butter on the inside. There is seriously nothing better. This is going to give you all the signaling molecules to get you bucked up in the healthy fats, support your brain and your hormones. This is my favorite snack.
It is, of course, a joke. That is healthy, but he's just trying to make it a bit more funny, the whole diet. Otherwise, it's just somebody eating butter and testicles, which seems strange anyway to people, of course, but this at least makes it kind of a little bit acceptable because everybody likes humor and comedy. His eyes are quite sunken into his skull. Maybe he's an ex-vegan. Could just be
I'd
genes.
also like to point out here that it's extremely possible he spit that out right after the TikTok finished. He just projectile vomited it out. We don't actually see him swallow it. I really do think, based on the way he talks and some of the things he says in the videos, that this whole thing is supposed to be a comedy persona that he's adopted and fucking giving his all to, out there at 110%. I'd like to give you an example.
That's possible. I've never heard of this guy, but a lot of people eat raw meat nowadays, so it wouldn't be surprising if it's real.
On what I think is like the most obvious case of him kidding around with this whole thing, but it's very weird even still. Even if I'm right, it's still weird regardless. But this is a video he made where it's like some kind of bull penis snack.
Silly rabbit, Pizzles are for kids. Today we're making my favorite breakfast cereal, Pizzle-O's. This will have the kids begging for it. By now you guys know I'm a huge fan of bull pizzle recipes, so all you're going to do, you guys know this by now, you're going to put your penis in a pot of boiling water. And it's going to take a while, so be patient. That's what it's going to look like when it's done. And before I do anything, I always rub my pee-pee with butter. And then you're going to cut it up nice and fine. Again, no.
It's obviously supposed to be funny, but I think that he really eats that way.
We didn't want to choke on the pizzle, so make sure they are nice and small. And this one still had a little junk in the tubes, but that's totally fine. It just adds to the flavor, and it just tastes so good, in my opinion. And once you're done, you're just going to add it to your bowl, and you can add a little bit of milk, but I like it straight. Let me know how you like this recipe.
I think it's super creepy that he keeps mentioning kids when talking about the penis snack, saying that the kids will be begging for it. I think that's super creepy regardless of the intention of the videos. But I do think this one is a clear demonstration that this is all supposed to be a bit because it's so over the top. Also, I think it's very important to notice that he made a cut. So he did have bull penis. He had that whole fucking bull wiener, and he did cut it up, put it in a bowl. But when he was digging around with the spoon, there was a cut right before he had the spoon in his mouth. So I think there's a very real case that he didn't actually eat any of it. So I do think there's a case to be made that quite a few of these videos he's made are fake and meant to troll. Like, maybe even taking the piss out of raw meat eating to a certain degree. There are some that he doesn't fake, though, which is why it's so odd, because there are some where he does eat tons and tons of meat, and he does, like, every time I've seen, finish a fucking stick of butter to himself. But maybe that's his superpower. He's like a fucking X-Men whose only mutation was the ability to polish off entire sticks of butter solo by itself. We don't actually see him swallow a lot of the raw meat stuff, especially the raw testicle stuff. One of them is just deceptive, where we don't actually see him eat the Pizzle-O's or any of that. So some of them are fake, but not all of them.
How many licks does it take to get to the center of a testicle? Well, that's what we're going to find out today because we're making testy pops. These are testicle lollipops. All you need is a raw testicle, cut it up into 3 little bits. It's pretty simple, and this is very, very tasty. I personally love these. Lay them out on your parchment paper, and you're going to need some toothpicks and a little gloop of honey on each one. The kids are going to love these. Once you put enough honey on it, throw them in the freezer, and then you'll have the answer to how many licks does it take to get to the center of a testicle? Well,
yeah, every time he mentions a penis recipe, he mentions kids with it. Every single time, pretty much. It's fucking weird. It's pretty disturbing.
There's nothing weird about it. The reason he says that the kids are going to like it is because it means that everybody is going to like it, as in it will be appealing even to the kids. That's it. It's as if he wants to see something weird in the video when there isn't anything.
Now, in this case with the testicle pops, again, we don't see him swallow it. He does, take a lick at the old testicle pop, but I was expecting an old Tootsie Pop commercial where the kid gives it to an owl. How many licks to get to the center? A 1, a 2, a 3, and then takes a bite of it. But he doesn't do that. He doesn't actually swallow it, eat it, anything like that. He just puts it in his mouth for like a second, So again, I think this is a case of he probably spit it right out instantly afterward.
This is what happens when you eat 4 pounds of ground beef and sticks of butter every single day for months. And no, I'm not exaggerating. This is my carnivore diet dirty bulk. Starting out at 185 back in August, 3% body fat, visible abs. And this is me today at 205 pounds, feeling a little out of shape. But for the past 6 months, we have been way overeating. I'm talking sticks of butter wrapped in prosciutto, tablespoons of maple syrup on everything I eat multiple times a day, beef tongue on white rice. And these are all very nutrient-dense foods. I was just overeating them for every single meal for months on end. And keep in mind, I really wasn't doing
Nice, you had some raw liver there also.
any weightlifting over this period. I was just doing a lot of rowing. Here's me out at lunch having a stick of butter. I would actually do this.
This is another one that showcases, like, there are times where he legitimately does consume the food that's on his plate. Like, that 3 pounds of beef and a full stick of butter, he does.
Yeah, he obviously consumes all of the food, and he also likes to make it more appealing to other people, which is why he uses the comedy parts. It's so incredibly clear.
To eat all of that. And he doesn't have a beverage. He makes sure to point that out, saying no bev. And he's right. He doesn't have anything to lubricate the gears there. He just straight up eats all of that. And then
He literally does. He has butter. What else do you need to lubricate the gears? Lubrication is known as fat or oil. Whereas if you would drink water, it would dry you out.
does shove a stick of butter right down his gullet in public. The confidence to do something like that is almost admirable. But then there is an example of one where he doesn't swallow. That's the butter wrapped in raw meat or whatever. I already forgot what it was. But like that's another one where we don't see him like actually eat that or anything. So I don't know. I feel like there are real videos in here, but sprinkled throughout there are the more outrageous ones where he is clearly not actually finishing those. Like those are all put on for the sake of the quick TikTok and that's it.
Definitely not. It's very obvious that he does eat all of it.
Like the Pizzolos, I am going to harp on quite heavily because there is a cut. We don't actually ever even see him eat a Pizzolo. So he probably...
That's because you eat freaking chips, Burger King, and who knows what, which is why you look so skinny and malnourished. You don't understand that humans actually eat this in nature and that we actually crave this kind of food, but you have no connection to nature because you're one of the biggest losers on the internet, obsessed with video games and whatnot. Your depressive demeanor is unbearable to listen to or to watch you. It's disgusting.
Fake that entire one right there.
Yeah, actually, this guy is disgusting. He believes that the guy who eats his natural food is disgusting, but being so incredibly depressed and obsessed with something man-made, being such a huge loser, this is actually a really disgusting human being. Yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to talk about him a little bit because it's still fascinating. If this is all a character and a gimmick, that I think it is because a lot of the videos seem a little more blatant than others. There's one where he's talking about like taking Trin and shit that's clearly like very tongue-in-cheek. But there are some where it's like, maybe this guy actually does eat this way. Okay,
your videos are horrible. You added nothing to the topic. I learned nothing from you. You're completely ignorant about what humans eat in nature. What an idiot. Thanks for watching.